Shepherd's class. And then you need to know if you're a senior, an intermediate, or a junior. So we're going to start with the senior shepherds first. So if that is you, please come to the ring for check-in. After the shepherds classes, then we will do our exhibition class before starting the pairs. Now in the show ring are our senior Shepherd's class exhibitors. That means that these 4-Hers have bred their own lambs for the show. Following this, if there are any intermediates, please come to the ringside. Currently we have 0, so if you're an intermediate shepherd, you're running late. If you are a junior shepherd, you should also be at the ringside as well.
A nice class of senior bred and owned lambs to start off the Market Lamb show here tonight. And I think it's a good top pair with some differences. But the young lady's ewe that I'm going to start out with, not only is she the leaner of the two and firmer to the touch, but she offers more spread out of the top side of her rack, progressively gets wider into a bigger pin set, and is fuller in the lower portion of her leg. Now, when she stands there, I do like the extension about her front 1/3, but I'd like to level her out of her top a little bit, and maybe when you set her up, kick her hind leg back a little bit, just like it is now, to make her look a little bit more attractive from the profile. But I still think she's a very powerful ewe to start off the class. The young lady's wether that's going to come in second, he gives an ultra good look from the side. He's super tall fronted, really extended about his head and neck. I love his legs and the shag he's got on him. For me, he gets a little weaker out of the top side of his, on the back side of his blade, and he needs to be, square out over his loin edge, but certainly a good individual to come in second. The young man's ewe that's going to come in third, she's lean and she's super expressive, and I like the genuine shape she has high. For me, I'd like to balance her out in a progression of lower body, give her just a little bit more flank to truly balance out, and probably change her in the angle of her blade just a little bit, but still a nice one to go third. The young man's wether that stands here in fourth, you know, he's a really fresh-hided one who I do appreciate the turn and shape he has up high, especially out over his loin edge. For me, he needs to be modified in his chest floor. He wants to push a little extra chest, and I'd like to change the way he handles his hock and hind leg. The young man that comes next, you know, certainly a really lean, really green wether that he has, and I really can appreciate the true, genuine touch he offers when I get my hands on him. He needs to be changed in the angles off of either end. He gets a little too straight in his shoulder and needs to be modified in the set to his hock, and for him to really balance out, I'd like just give him just a shot more flank, but very nice entry. The young man that's going to round out the class here today, you know, he's another really lean, really green one, and there's no hiding anything on him. Unfortunately, he's probably just the flatter ribbed one of the class who needs a little bit more bone to compete with the ones above him, but congratulations on a nice class.
Now in the ring are our junior Shepherds class exhibitors. Results for our senior Shepherds class: first place, Caitlin Spicer; second place, Courtney Spicer; third place, Duncan Bell; fourth place, Eddie Johnson; fifth place, Ben Carter; sixth place, Wyatt Carter. Now in the ring are the junior Shepherds. Following this, we will have the selection of our overall Shepherd champion. Following our Shepherds class champion selection, we will be following the program and start with our exhibition class. After that, then we will roll into the market lamb pair classes.
The young lady's wether that I'm going to start off to win the class here to my right, he's one that gives a really good look from the side. He's tall and elevated about his head and neck, super level out of his top, and when I get my hands on him, he's still really fresh for his weight, and he still offers a lot of shape out over his rack and especially down into the lower portion of his leg. You know, if I could change him a little bit, I think for him to be really, really good looking, I'd like to see him have a little bit more flank just to balance out his progression of lower body, but one that certainly is a very high quality individual. The young lady's ewe that's going to come here in second, you know, she's extremely green and extremely expressive in the muscle she does have out of her top, and I do like the way she attaches her neck high at the top of her shoulder. Just compared to the one in front of her, she's not quite as round and youthful in the shape to her center rib, and I just like to give her a little bit more twist shape down to the lower portion of her leg, but a very nice pair of lambs for the junior bred and owned division. Congratulations.
Results for the junior Shepherds class: first place, Aniston Todd; second place, Violet Bell. Now in the ring, we need all of our first and second place Shepherds class winners for the selection of our champion Shepherd.
Another good lineup out here, and the Bred and Owned show wasn't very big, but I certainly think there's 3 lambs in particular that offer a lot of quality out here. Obviously, the 2 class winners are both very high quality individuals with their differences, and I'll explain them here real quick. The young lady out of the senior class, you know, that ewe, she's super big, super robust out through her hip shape. I love the turn and expression she offers down to the lower portion of her rib. And the second time you've got her out here, I really like how you kicked her back legs out a little bit. It helped level out her top. Yes. And it really helped level out her top. When she's in motion, she still wants to get tighter in her spine, and I'd like to relax her there, but she's certainly one that offers a really good look from the profile while still having plenty of muscle shape and expression. The young lady's wether that comes out of the junior class, you know, that's one that's certainly long-bodied, longest hind-saddled one out here, and I really like that about him. And like I talked in class, for his weight, he's still super fresh and reads lean and handles lean out over his top. Compared to the one in front of him, maybe he's not quite as cool through his head and neck, and he doesn't have just as much natural twist down to the lower portion of his leg, but certainly still a very nice Bred and Owned wether the young lady brought out here today. For me, you know, I don't know if it's close necessarily. The one that just probably hits me harder is going to be the young lady out of the first class. You'll be champion. I think it gets a little bit closer when I bring the other wether out here, but like I talked in the class, you know, he's one that just offers a really, really cool look from the side. I love his angles off of either end and just how extended he is through his front 1/3. And in that class, I kind of saw them as a pair, so out here I don't see any reason to split them up. Young lady, you'll be reserved. Congratulations.
Our Grand Champion Shepherd class winner is Caitlin Spicer, and Reserve Champion Shepherd is Courtney Spicer. We will now have our exhibition class. They should be at ringside, and you may come on in. Following this will be the Market Lamb Pairs division.
The young lady to my left here is going to win the class, and I think she's got an awfully nice wether on her hands. He's super stout at the ground. I love his front end, how clean he is through his chest floor, yet extended about his head and neck, and yet he's still round body and youthful in his body shape. And I think one of my favorite things about him is how firm and tight he is to the handle. He's super green. He doesn't have a lot of bark on him, and I really appreciate that about him. If I could change anything, I'd modify the way his hock structure works. He wants to get a little bit under himself every now and then, but still a really nice wether to start off the class. The young lady's wether that's going to come in second, he's certainly one who's extremely practical in his skeletal build, and he's probably one of the most flexible ones that's been out here all day, and I really appreciate that about him. You know, for him, he probably just doesn't have the extra look of show and pizzazz that some of the other ones do, but certainly a very practical, nice project you brought out here today. Congratulations.
Results for our exhibition class. First place, Caitlin Spicer. Second place, Caitlin Walker. We will now start with our market lamb pairs. Now entering the ring should be class 27, market lamb pairs weighing 177 to 229 pounds. Class 28 may bring their lambs to ringside. Class 28 to ringside for check-in. Just a reminder for our 4-H livestock sale participants and their parents. A few of you who plan to sell a lamb on Friday evening have not signed the quality assurance paperwork. So if you are a 4-H'er or a parent that did not sign the book for me at grading, you need to come up to the table and do that. Give you a little bit of time to come confess on your own before I announce your names.
A nice class of pairs here, and the pair that's going to win it is going to be the one off here to my right. You know, that ewe, she is super, super lean, so expressive out of her top. I love her hip shape she offers and carries down into the lower portion of her leg. I'd probably like to make her a little bit more relaxed in her top. She wants to get a little roachier there, but certainly a very nice ewe. And the wether is also a really nice individual. He offers a cool look from the side. If I could change anything about him, I'd like to make him a little bit stronger in his top. He wants to drop his top every now and then, but the young man does a good job of keeping it up in him. Very nice pair. The pair that's going to come in second is the white ewe and the blue ewe, and the white ewe is one who's certainly long and extended about her head and neck. I like the angle of her shoulder and how level she is out of her top to level her out and really make her balance. I think she needs a shot more flank to be good in her progression of lower body and probably give her just a little bit more twist. But the young man with the blue ewe, that's one I like a great deal. She continually gets progressively wider, starting from her rack all the way out to her hip. She has a ton of leg shape, and when he gets her stopped and set up, she can offer a pretty view from the side. but still a very nice pair of ewes to come in second. And the young ladies down here with the black weather and ewe are going to round out the class. You know, there's certainly two individuals that are really good in terms of their structure, super mobile, super fluid. If I could change anything about them, they just need some more true, genuine shape out over their top and into the lower portion of their leg to get any higher. Congratulations to the pair exhibitors.
Now entering the ring is Class 28, Market Lamb pairs weighing 238 to 246 pounds. Results for Class 27 Market Lamb pairs. First place, Courtney Spicer. Second place, Duncan Bell. Third place, Charlotte King. In your program, 3, 1, 2, scratch. Now in the ring is Class 28. Class 29 may bring their lambs to ringside.
Class 29 to ringside at this time.
Well, I think this is an awfully tough class, and all three pairs are extremely good. And if you wanted to change it another way, I'd be totally fine with that and could listen to that all day. So just what I'm seeing, the young ladies up here with the U and Weather that are going to go ahead and win this class. You know, the U, she's one that I really like in terms of her profile from the side. I think she's really attractive, super balanced, and she still offers a good fresh touch when I get on top of her. Probably not overwhelming in terms of her muscle shape, but she still has plenty. The young lady with the Weather here, you know, he's a little bit coarser through his chest, and I'd like to lay him back in his chest floor a little bit and maybe give him a little bit extra length out of his hip. But he's a big old powerhouse who has tons of red meat inside of him and just is huge and massive out of his rack. The second pair of two Weathers here, you know, they're very nice Weathers in and of their own right. The young lady's Weather here that's giving her a little bit of a fit right now, he's one that when my hands on top of him, he is so good in terms of his progression of width from his rack all the way back to his hip. He progressively gets wider. He's huge hip, has a great turn to his lower leg. Now he needs to be squared up from hock to ground. He wants to roll out a little bit, but still he offers a really attractive look from the profile. The young man with the Weather here, you know, he's one that gives you a really good look from the profile, and I love how long hind saddled he is, how level he is out of his dock. Where I'd like to change him is probably on the handle. Not that he's stale, but he's just not quite as fresh as some of the other ones that are out here, and I'd like to give him a little bit more expression, especially over his loin edge, but still a really nice pair. And the two young ladies here with the ewe lambs that I'm going to round out this class with, you know, these are still two really, really nice ewe lambs who have a ton of power and a ton of expression to each of them. The young lady that's standing directly in front of me, I think her reads super fresh and handles super fresh. Where I'd like to change her, she needs more flank to balance out in her progression of lower body. She's a little too tucked up underneath there, but still a very powerful fresh ewe. And the young lady here on the end, you know, her ewe is one that is awesome in terms of her hip shape. I love her lower leg. For me, she just needs to be squared up from hock to ground, and like the ewe in front of her, just give her a shot more flank to really have her balance out. But an awesome class of pairs there. Congratulations to all exhibitors.
Now entering the ring is Class 29, Market Lamb pairs weighing 261 to 281 pounds. Results for Class 28, first place, Caitlin Spicer. Second place, Courtney Spicer. Third place, Aniston Todd. In your program, 1, 3, 2. Now entering the ring is Class 29, Market Lamb pairs. Following this, we will have the selection of our Grand Champion and Reserve Champion pairs of Market Lambs. Following that, we will start with our individual Market Lamb classes.
Well, each class of pairs has gotten extremely better by the minute, and you know, the top three in this class I think are all really, really good. The pair I decided to go with, I'll be honest, they're probably a little bit heavier on the finish side than is my type, but I think just in terms of their width, the shape they offer out of their rack, and their skeletal, I just think they're kind of the spot to land. The young lady with the weather up here, you know, he is just big and he's powerful. He's getting a little bit more mature, not quite as youthful in his rib shape, but I love the build of his hip and hind leg and how he gets out and goes in motion. If I could change him, he's super wide across his rack, but he honestly didn't overwhelm me as much when I got out to his hip. I'd probably just like to give him a shot more expression out of his hip. Now the ewe that's paired with him, she's really, really good in terms of her progression of width. She's big racked and even bigger hipped, and she's super, super good to the touch. You know, for her, I'd probably like to lay back the angle of her shoulder just a little bit. She wants to get a little too upright, but that's certainly a really good pair to start out this class with. The two young ladies that are going to be in the second place here, you know, the young lady with the weather, he is ultra lean and he's very good to the touch. He's being a little bit of a handful, but you do a really nice job controlling him. You know, he is round body and youthful in his body shape. Where I'd like to change him would be in his progression of lower body. He needs a notch more flank to really balance out. The young lady with the ewe, that's one that's super lean, especially for her weight, and I love the firm touch she gives me. Honestly, she's super big out of her rack, but much like the weather out of the first pair, she's not quite as impressive out of her hip as I'd like to see her for that much rack shape, but still a really nice pair to come in second. The pair in third is probably the best looking from the profile for sure. The young lady's weather, he gives an ultra cool look. I love his progression of lower body, how he ties his neck high at the top of his shoulder. For me, he just needs more skeletal width and dimension. He gets plainer down into the lower portion of his leg, and I just like to bolden him up through his hip. The young lady with the weather here, he's certainly, again, one that gives an ultra cool look, and he's still lean to the touch, and I like the extra shape he has. Where I change him is on the move. He wants to get a little straighter in his shoulder, and I just like to relax him a little, but still a really nice weather. The two young ladies that are here in this next pair, you know, I really like the young lady's ewe that she has. I think she's a powerhouse. I love how fresh and good she is to the touch. Really, for her to balance out, she just needs a little bit more flank. And the young lady with the weather, he's certainly a lean green fighting machine too. For me, he probably just needs a little bit more roundness of body and added softness to go any higher today. And the pair that's going to round out this class is certainly a good pair still, you know, just in a really tough class. Both of the weathers handle really nice to the touch, and I like their rack shape. For me, they probably just need to handle their rear structure a little bit better and tie their necks in higher at the top of their shoulder to go any higher. But congratulations to all the pair exhibitors.
Results for class 29. First place, Jada Mantua. Second place, Jada Mantua. Third place, Blair Heath. Fourth place, Aniston Todd. Fifth place, Haley Evans. In your program, 4, 3, 2, 5, 1. Now in the ring will be the selection of our grand champion pair of market lambs and reserve grand champion pair of market lambs. Following this, we will begin our individual market lamb division 1 with class 30.
I think this has been a really nice lineup of pairs that have come out here, and I honestly wasn't quite sure what to expect when they said pairs, but this has been awesome. And like I said in the last class, each class has progressively gotten better throughout the day as they come out here, from the lightweights all the way down to the heavyweights. You know, honestly, I won't beat around the bush a lot. There was 2 pairs out of that last class that I thought are awfully good, and they're going to be grand in reserve. Congratulations.
All right, I'm going to try not to mess this up. Grand champion and reserve grand champion pairs of market lambs are both exhibited by Jaden Mantua. Congratulations. We will now get going with our individual market lambs, class 30. Individual market lambs weighing 74 to 86 pounds may come on in, and class 31 may bring their lambs to ringside.
Class 31 to ringside.
A nice way to start off the lightweight show, and the young lady's you here that's going to win the class. I think she does so pretty handily. You know, when she gets her parked and set up, she gives an awfully good look from the profile, and even though she probably just needs a shot more flank, I think she's one that still balances out very nicely. Really good through her front end, fresh to the handle, big twisted, very nice entry. The young lady's you that comes in second, you know, she's one that not comical is the word, but I have a 10-year-old cousin, her name's Ruby. Last year was her first year in 4-H, and she's terrified of livestock, so she showed a ewe about that same size. And she's about this tall, so I can't imagine how tough it is for you to show one that little. But, you know, she's certainly a powerful one in her own right. I love how big-hipped she is. She's super big into the lower portion of her leg. Where I change her, I'd like to give her some extra length and extension, probably give her a little bit more length out of her hip and change the angle of her shoulder just a little bit. But a very nice entry the young lady brings us. And the young lady is black ewe that's going to round out the class. A very practical, good-built ewe who is certainly super flexible and athletic in the ground. And even though she does tie her neck in high at the top of her shoulder, she probably just gives up a little bit of that extra look and pizzazz as some of the ones above her, but a very nice you to round out the class. Congratulations.
Now entering the ring is Class 31, individual market lambs weighing 95 to 99 pounds. Results for Class 30, first place, Courtney Spicer. Second place, Caitlin Spicer. Third place, Charlotte King. In your program, 2, 3, 1. Now entering the ring is Class 31. Class 32 may bring their lambs to ringside.
Class 32 to ringside for checkout.
The young lady's ewe I'm going to use to start off the class is just kind of the one I think's the best combination of everything out here. You know, she's not the most powerful, that's the young man's Weather in second, but I think she has enough power, and when I get my hands on her, she's still lean and still fresh and has good turn and shape out of her loin edge. I think kind of where she wins the class is mainly just how she combines her muscle shape with her added extension up front. I prefer how she handles her hind leg compared to the one in second, and she just balances up better in her progression of lower body to chest floor. Congratulations, young lady. The young man that's going to be in second, you know, he does, like I said, have the most powerful one in the class. He offers the most shape out of his rack and down into the lower portion of his leg. Where I'd like to change this one is in his structure. He's too straight off of either end, and he wants to favor that one front leg a little bit. I just like to make him more relaxed when he gets out and goes. The young man that's going to come next, you know, certainly has a very long hind saddled, very green weather on his hands. And, you know, I don't doubt his true muscle shape that he has. He's just not as expressively muscled as some of the others. I'd like to give him a little bit more muscle content, especially fill into his lower leg, but very nice entry. The two ladies are making it difficult on me here, bringing out full siblings to each other, but that's okay. So I'll tell you the differences I see between these two weathers. The young lady that's going to come next, you know, I think when you get your weather stopped and set up, he offers a nicer profile. He's probably longer and ties his neck in higher at his shoulder, and when you get his back down, he offers a really good look of balance. When he gets in motion, he wants to get too high in his top, and I just like to give him a little bit overall. And I just like to give him a little bit more muscle overall, but still very good job with your weather. The young lady that's going to round out the class, certainly one that's super flexible and agile in motion, and compared to the one that's directly in front of her, I like how he remains more collected in his top on the go and doesn't get his roachy in his back. For me, he just gets a little too much extra chest floor, and I just like to change the angle of his hock a little bit, but very nice entry, congratulations.
Now entering the ring is Class 32, individual market lambs weighing 100 to 104 pounds. Results for Class 31, first place, Violet Bell. Second place, Duncan Bell. Third place, Wyatt Carter. Fourth place, Charlotte King. Fifth place, Kaylin Walker. In your program, 5, 4, 3, 1, 2. Now in the ring is Class 32. Class 33 may bring their lambs to ringside. Also, I need a little bit of assistance today. For those of you who know me, 16 years ago I brought a boy to the fair on his birthday and made him wear a flannel cow costume in the parade. Well, he's here today, it's my husband, and he's turning 40 years old. So I think we need to sing happy birthday to him. He goes by George, Walter, other things that I cannot announce. Come on, honey, out in the show ring. He wasn't in 4-H, but he's gonna be in the show ring tonight. I will force you, and you know you won't like it, so let's go. Come on, Walter. Come on, kids, you need some encouragement. All right. We were supposed to be like someplace warm and tropical, and I got the warm. All right, Ruby, we're going to sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Daddy. Happy birthday to you. Yay!
Clearly, you know, he's the loud, obnoxious one in the bunch. Thank you for your assistance.
The young lady's weather I'm going to use to start the class wins, and I think he does so pretty handily. He's lean, he's got a lot of shape up high, and I love the extension he offers from his front 1/3, how tucked up he is in his chest floor, and good he is into his lower flank. Where I'd change him, I'd like to square him up from hock to ground. He wants to roll out a little bit, and maybe just change the angle of his shoulder ever so slightly, but a really nice one to start off the class. Congratulations. The young man's weather that's going to be second out here, I don't know if he's necessarily the most powerful next because I think it's the young man that's going to be in third, but I think from a skeletal standpoint, he's the next best in the class. I like the angle of his shoulder, even though he is a little bit coarser shouldered, and I really like how he handles his hip and hind leg. Of the two, he's the fresher hided one, who handles probably with more shape directly on top of his rack. Now the young man with his lamb in third, he's the big powerhouse that's left in the class. He's got more shape out of his loin edge and especially out of his hip. Where he falls in third is his structure. When you get him on the move, he wants to round out of his hip pretty severely, and I'd like to change the angle of his hock and just how he handled a very nice entry nonetheless. And the young man that's going to round out the class here, he certainly has the longest hind saddled weather in the class, who's really good in terms of his head and neck extension. Where I'd like to change him, he probably needs a little bit more shape and turn to the lower portion of his leg, and I'd like to lay him back in the angle of his shoulder slightly, but congratulations, very good job.
Results for Class 32. First place, Courtney Spicer. Second place, Ben Carter. Third place, Eddie Johnson. Fourth place, John Bell. In your program, 2, 1, 4, 3. Now entering the ring is Class 33, individual market lambs weighing 106 to 110 pounds. Class 34 may come to ringside for check-in.
Class 34 to ringside at this time.
A good pair of powerful market lambs that come to the top, but it's the young lady's use added look of quality that's going to get her the win. When she gets her stopped and set up, I think she offers a really pretty profile. I like how tucked up she is in her chest floor, how good she is through her lower flank, and that extra extension about her head and neck really makes her look very good. Now if I change her, especially in motion, to get a little bit tighter in her spine. I'd like to relax her there, but I think with her power and her look, she's a good place to start the class. The young lady's weather that's going to come in second, he's fresher hided than the one that's in first, and he has just as much muscle and shape to him. The big difference between the two, he's more of a production-oriented weather. He just doesn't have that extra look of quality through his front 1/3. I'd like to change the angle of his shoulder just a little bit. Still a very nice weather to go second. The young lady, Suffolk appearing ewe that's going to be here in third, very, very practical ewe in her own right. She's round through her center rib and very level out of her top, and I like the set of her hip and hind leg. Of the two that are remaining, she's fresher hided, but compared to the ones above her, she probably just doesn't have as much shape right behind her rack, and I'd just like to give her a little bit more turn to her loin. the young man's you that's going to round out the class. She's a super tall fronted one, and I love the extension she has about her head and neck, and she still does that while being long hind saddled. For me, she probably needs a little bit more fill to her lower leg, and I'd like to relax her back and the angle of her blade as she gets to be a little too upright, but congratulations and good job.
Now entering the ring is Class 34, individual market lambs weighing 111 to 115 pounds. Results for Class 33, first place, Taryn Schwartz. Second place, Kylie Bingham. Third place, Jalen Velisak. Fourth place, Duncan Bell. In your program, 4, scratch, 3, 2, 1. Now in the ring is Class 34. Following this, we will have the selection of our Division I champions.
Another nice pair of weathers that sort themselves to the top. And the young lady's weather I'm going to side with. Like I mentioned in a class before, I think he's probably the best combination of muscle and power in a show animal package. You know, when you get him stopped and propped up, he's really good about his head and neck, super elevated through his chest floor, and he probably balances out the best in terms of his lower flank in the class. Compared to some others in the class, I don't know if he has the most hip shape. I think the U in third actually might have the most hip shape, but I really do like how fresh he is out over his loin. Very nice entry to start out. The young lady with the weather in second, you know, he's a really good one too, and I love the angle of his hip and hind leg and how well he's built there, and the angle of his shoulder. I'd probably like to tie his neck a little bit higher at the top side of his shoulder, and maybe just give him a shot more flank to balance out. But again, he's a super fresh touching one that I really like on the handle, where he really gets beat between the one in front of him. He wants to get a little bit tighter in his spine on the go, and in his lower leg, he probably doesn't offer just as much shape as the one above him. Still a very nice entry. The young lady with the U in third, this one U has got some really, really unique parts. She's the longest hind saddled by far in the class. I love her length and extension she offers. She ties her neck in really high at the top side of her shoulder, and she is super big and expressive out through her hip. For me, she needs to be changed from a balance standpoint by giving her a little bit more flank. She remains pretty sucked up in her rear flank. I'd like to give her a little bit more flank to balance her out and drop her down, and I'd like to change the way she handles her hind leg on the go. She wants to get shorter and rounder out of her hip, causing her to get higher in her spine, but still a very nice U. And the young man with the blue U that's going to round out the class, you know, this is a shame because she's a nice U that got stuck in a pretty good class. I like her progression of width from her rack back to her hip. She progressively gets wider, and I like the stoutness of structure she offers at the ground. Honestly, she doesn't have as much turn and shape into the lower portion of her twist as some of the other ones do, and I'd probably like to change the way she sets her hind leg down on the go, but still a really nice project for the young man.
Results for class 34. First place, Courtney Spicer. Second place, Addison Ridgely. Third place, Aniston Todd. Fourth place, Duncan Bell. In your program, 1, 3, 2, 4. Now in the ring are all of our first and second place Division I class winners for the selection of our Division I champion and reserve champion. Following this, we will begin Division II with Class 35. They may come to ringside for check-in.
Class 35 to ringside for check-in.
Well, I think a nice drive of lightweight lambs out here in contention for the division, and in my mind it comes down to 3 class winners out here that are really in contention. I'll kind of talk each of them here quick. The young lady here in the middle with the weather, you know, in his class he was the combination one who best combined that show look with the added power, and he still does it out here. I really love his front end and the set of his hip and hind leg, even though he still needs to be squared up in his hock. Where I'd change him, he does want to get really weak in his top on the go or on the stand, but when you get him on the go, that's actually when he looks the best. And in terms of the 3 out here that are in contention, he probably has the most cover on him, but he's still by no means overdone. The young lady with the U standing directly in front of me, she's a very big-hipped, big-legged one, and I love that about her, and she's still fresh to the touch. Where I'd change her, she wants to get a little too tight in her spine, and not that she's bold and coarse-shouldered, but she could just be laid in and a little neater about her shoulder. The young man with the weather out of the last class here, you know, he's certainly one that I think offers a really good look from the side. Probably not the most overwhelming in terms of power, especially into the lower portion of his leg, but I think he balances up really good from a balance standpoint. I love his progression of lower body, and I'd probably like to square him up a little bit from hock to ground. He wants to roll out just a little bit on the move, but certainly a nice one to look at. I'm going to go out here and give him one more look and get you a champion in reserve in the lightweight division. As the second place from that class comes out here, you know, when I talked to him in class, I said he might not balance up quite as well as the other one. I'd probably like to tie his shoulder in a bit higher and give him a little extra flank to balance out. But I think the build of his hip and hind leg is really good, and he's super fresh-hided, very good to the touch. I'm going to keep those 2 together. You're going to be reserved. Congratulations.
Division 1 champion market lamb is exhibited by Courtney Spicer. Reserve champion for Division 1 is exhibited by Addison Ridgely. We will now begin Division 2 with Class 35. Individual market lambs weighing 116 to 119 pounds. Class 36 may bring their pig.
The young lady out here brings out an awfully nice ewe to start, and she's one that when she gets her stopped and standing on the profile, she paints a really pretty picture. I know she's not the cleanest and the neatest through her chest floor, but I still think she balances out well with the flank she has. But when I get my hands on her, I think that's where she really excels. She's super big out of her rack, even bigger into her hip and the lower portion of her leg. Where I'd like to change her, she needs to be squared up from hock to ground when she gets on the move. She wants to roll in a little bit, and it's not a huge deal, but with one that's that powerful, I'd even take a pair of surgical blades to her and really knock off that extra wool. That'd give her an awesome handle. But congratulations, a very nice ewe to start the class. The young lady's ewe that's going to be in second, I love how fresh-hided she is and good she is to the touch. And when you get her stopped, she paints a really, really pretty picture like she is right now. She's longer and more extended about her head and neck than the one ahead of you. Her real issue is when she gets on the move. She gets a little bit tighter in her spine and uncoordinated in her hind leg. And compared to the one in front of you, she probably just doesn't offer as much shape directly out of her hip and into the lower portion of her leg, but still a really attractive ewe that goes second. Now the two young ladies with the ewes in third and fourth, if you wanted to switch that, I'd be okay with that. I think it's an interesting pair that's definitely different. I go with the longer hind saddled ewe the young lady has in third. She's certainly lean and fresh to the touch, and I like the shape she has over her loin. Is she as big hipped as the one in fourth? No, but she's longer and more comfortable on her stride when she gets out and goes, so that's why she stays over the young lady in fourth. The young lady who's going to be fourth, you certainly have a very powerful ewe, and compared to the one above you, I prefer her progression of lower body and her added hip shape. Your ewe just wants to get a little too tight when she gets into motion. She rounds out of her hip and needs to be relaxed in the angle of her hock to get around the run in front of her, but very nice ewe. The young man, he certainly has a very fresh-hided weather out here, and you know, initially I was thinking he was really, really lean, just for how he looks and how expressive he seems to be over his top. But when I get my hands on him, he actually does have a little bit more cover than the ones above him, directly on the lower ribs. But where he really falls in fourth or fifth, excuse me, for me, is just his shape from behind. He's not quite as expressive and heavy muscled as the ones above him, but when you get him stopped, he offers a really nice look from the side. And the young man that's going to round out the class, certainly one that's a very nice and very practical wether. He's wanting to be a little bit of a handful out here, but the young man does a good job keeping a hold of him. And while I like how he's fresh to the touch, I'd probably like to make him a little bit leveler out of his top and give him a little bit more shape into the lower portion of his leg. But a very nice project the young man brought out.
Now entering the ring is Class 36, individual market lambs weighing 121 and 122 pounds. Results for Class 35, first place, Taryn Schwartz. Second place, Caitlin Spicer. Third place, Aniston Todd. Fourth place, Cora Brendel. Fifth place, Liam Hartner. Sixth place, Michael Velasek. Oh wait, is Michael Grayson? Grayson Michael, right? Yes, okay. See, now I know. In your program, 6, 2, 5, 1, 3, 4. Now in the ring is Class 36. Class 37 may bring their lambs to ringside.
Class 37 to ringside at this time.
Well, I'd like to apologize. I've checked my phone a couple times throughout the night, and generally I don't like to do that, but my county fair is going on right now. The sheep show just wrapped up, and my brother had two pretty good ones for his last year, so I was checking to see how that went. So he ended up winning grand, so that's pretty exciting. Good way to start off his last year. We're going to finish up with the steer show there tonight, so hopefully we have some luck with that. So I'd just like to apologize for that in advance. But the young lady's weather out here that starts, I think he's an awfully cool dude. I love how good he is through his front end, and his progression of lower body is so good. And the angle and set to his hip and hind leg is beautiful. You have done a really nice job getting his legs fitted up today as well. When I get my hands on top of him, you know, in the pair class, I said he probably just didn't have as much power as some of the ones out here. But I think for this weight, he does a really, really good job in terms of how fresh and youthful he is in his rack shape. I love the turn and shape out of his loin edge. Still big through the center portion of his leg. If I could change one thing about him, I might just tuck him up just a little bit more in his chest floor. Not that he's dropped out, but just tuck him up a little bit to give him an extra cool look, but a very nice individual to start off the class. The young lady's whether that's going to come in second. I know it's a little bit of sibling rivalry here between second and third. And I think it's close, and there's some differences between these two weathers. The young lady's whether that's going to be second, I think he offers more shape and turn out of his loin edge, especially his hip and into the lower portion of his leg. Now, is he the coolest fronted? No, probably not. He gets a little plainer through his chest floor. I'd like to tie his neck in higher at the top of his shoulder, and I think that's where the weather that comes in third has the clear advantage. But just in terms of power and pounds, he gets the edge over the young lady in third. Now, like I said, the young lady in third, you have a really nice weather from the side profile. I love the silhouette he offers. He's good in terms of his lower body. He's stout at the ground. For me, he needs to be more comfortable on the go. He wants to get a little tighter in his spine. I'd like to modify him in the set of his hock and rear pastor and just make him a little bit more comfortable there, but a very nice looking one to go third. The young lady's ewe out here is certainly super fresh hided, super fresh to the touch, and I love her stoutness of structure at the ground. And while she's big hipped and powerful, to balance out, she really just needs some more flank. She gets a little bit too sucked up underneath, and I'd just like to give her a little bit more roundness and center body to get any higher today, but a very nice ewe. And the young man's wether that's going to round out the class, he's a very practical, easy feeding type of wether, and out here he's probably carrying the most cover, but certainly a good project that the young man's put a lot of work into. Congratulations to all these individuals.
Now entering the ring is class 37, individual market lambs weighing 123 to 125 pounds. Results for class 36, first place, Blair Heath. Second place, Caitlin Spicer. Third place, Courtney Spicer. Fourth place, Aniston Todd. Fifth place, Ryan Peak. In your program, 3, 1, 2, 5, 4. Now in the ring is class 37. Class 38 may bring their lambs to ringside for check-in.
much better. All right, the young lady brings out a really nice weather here to start the class, and she's got him fitted up right. He's all shagged and booted down, and that's just the bells and whistles of him, because when I get my hands on him, he's so genuine in his top shape, and offers a really good look from the side profile. If I could change one thing about him, I'd like to change the set of his hip and hind leg ever so slightly. He just wants to roll up underneath of himself a little bit when you get him on the go, but a very nice weather to start off the class. The young lady with the weather that's going to come in second, you know, he is super fresh to the touch and probably fresher to the touch than the one ahead of him. And in terms of progression of width, from rack back to his hip, he's the best by far in the class. He gets so progressively bigger back to his hip. But with that being said, I do wish he just had a little bit more genuine rack shape to him. Not that he's narrow racked, but he just needs a little bit more to him. And when you get him in motion, I'd like to change the angle of his blade ever so slightly. The young man with a big ewe-lamb that's going to come next. You know, she's probably the longest hind-saddled one in the class, and is she the roundest bodied? No, but she does have enough rib shape while still being fresh in terms of the shape of her rack and out through her loin, where she kind of falls in third. Is she just needs to balance up a little better through the lower portion of her flank, and I'd like to modify the way she handles her hip and hind leg, especially when she gets on the move. She just wants to round out of her hip a little bit. The young man that's going to come in fourth with the gray-tinged ewe, you know, she's one that's really extended and attractive about her head and neck, and probably one of the better ones in terms of her skeletal build, especially in motion. To get any higher, I'd just like to see her with a rounder, more youthful body shape, and just give her a little bit more shape into the lower portion of her twist. And the young man with the weather that's going to round out the class, certainly one that's long and extended, good at the ground. He just needs more roundness of body and expression out over his rack to get any higher. Congratulations.
You were second with that one. Where's Brother Lamison here?
Now entering the ring is Class 38, individual market lambs weighing 128 to 131 pounds. Results for Class 37, first place, Addison Ridgely. Second place, Courtney Spicer. Third place, Max Schwartz. Fourth place, Hayden Harrison. Fifth place, Eric Roth. In your program, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2. Now in the ring is Class 38. Following this, we have the selection of our Division II champions.
try this. Hopefully we don't get that bad sound. The young lady that wins the class does so rather handily. I think this is a really nice weather she's brought out here today. You know, get him on the side profile. I love his angles. I love his extension up through his front, how level he is, the set of his hip and hind legs good. When he gets in motion, maybe he wants to get a little bit roachy in his top, but nothing substantial at all. But when I get my hands on him, he's so good in terms of his rack shape. I love the dimension he has over his loin, and he still has plenty of hip shape. Does he progress probably the best in terms of rack shape to hip shape? Probably not, but he's still a very powerful weather, very attractive, great way to start off the class. The young man's weather that's going to be in second, you know, he's probably the one who's the best in terms of his progression and width from his rack back to his hip, and he's certainly a powerful, tight-hided weather. Where he falls in second is he gets too tight in his spine, and he wants to get uncoordinated in the way he handles his hip and hind leg. I just like to relax him and make him a little bit more freer when he gets in motion. The bottom three, I think, all have some sort, and if you wanted to do it a little bit differently than me, I'd be okay with that. The young man that I opted to go to next, I think, is just the best combination in terms of balance and market priorities. He's probably not the heaviest muscled of the bottom three, but certainly still a very nice balanced weather. The young lady that comes in fourth, you know, she has a very tight-hided weather, and I appreciate the expression he has. For me, he gets too tight in his spine and rounds out of his hip. The young lady that's going to round out the class has the tightest hided, freshest handling weather by far. His biggest issue, he just gets entirely too sucked up in his rear flank, and he needs a shot more flank to balance out, as well as handling his hip and hind leg better.
Place class winners for Division II classes for the selection of our Division II champion and reserve. Results from Class 38, first place, Jaden Mantua. Second place, Hayden Brendel. Third place, Hayden Harrison. Fourth place, Haley Evans. Fifth place, Aniston Todd. I'm sorry, I had a brain fart during the last class, but I was going to announce two of our special awards in the sheep department. You may or may not know that there is an award for the best decorated and best kept sheep pens. And both of the young ladies who placed first and second in this special award were in Class 38. So congratulations. First place goes to Haley Evans, and second place goes to Aniston Todd. So congratulations, ladies. Please come see us at the table to get your special award thank you note.
we're going to try this one and hope no one goes deaf. Okay, a very nice lineup out here for the middleweight division. I think they're all 4 very high quality class winners, and of those 4 there's certainly some differences. You know, in my mind there's probably 2 class winners, maybe even 3, that really separate themselves just in terms of their power and how much quality they have to offer. And you know, I think you could really go any way with those 3. In my mind, I'm pretty sure I have it made up on what I'm looking for. Not that any one of them's perfect out here, but I think there's one that only has a couple minor flaws that I can live with. And then I think there's another one that's an awfully good one that just has to go reserve, and there's no way around that. I'm gonna go out and I'll shake the hand of your champion in reserve. Congratulations to all these exhibitors out here in the middleweight division.
Division 2 champion Market Lamb is exhibited by Jaden Mantua, and reserve champion is exhibited by Addison Ridgely. Oh, this is down in the barn?
Division 2.
Hello? So,
Test 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. One, two, three, four. 1, 2. One, 2.
okay. Now I will tell you that the Division 2 champion Market Lamb was exhibited by Jaden Mantua, and reserve champion for Division 2 is exhibited by Addison Ridgely. Now in the ring to start our Division 2 classes is Class 39, individual Market Lambs weighing 132 to 134 pounds. Class 40 may bring their lambs to ringside.
Class 40 may bring their lambs to ringside for check-in.
All right, I think it's a very nice pair of lambs these two young ladies bring out here. And if you wanted to switch them around from how I did, I'd be okay with it because I think the two are both really, really good, but for different reasons. The young lady's wether I opted to start with, he's not quite as cool fronted as the one in second, but in terms of his progression of width, not only is he wider directly outside of his rack, but he maintains that width and gets out into his hip. Now I'd like to probably give him just a little bit more lower leg shape for how much power he does have right out of his hip, and he could be a little bit cleaner through his chest floor, and that's where the young lady's ewe in second has the advantage. But of the pair, I think he's the rounder bodied one who does a better job of balancing up in his lower body. Now the young lady's ewe that's going to come in second, she's the leaner one of the pair, and she handles fresher, especially at the top part of her rack. Where I'd like to change her is directly underneath her flank. She probably needs... No, you're good. She probably needs just a little bit more fill down there. And I'd like to change, hello? Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello? Hello?
1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 2. 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. 2, 2, 2, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Washing pigs tonight or tomorrow. We got tile. Right?
We already cleaned them out.
Fourth place,
We just have to take them down.
Oh, good.
I can help you with tie out.
in your program, 5, 1,
I already cleaned that
3,
tie out.
4,
I already
2.
cleaned that tie out for Sam. Okay.
Results for class 39, First place, Darren Schwartz. Second place, Jaden Mantua. Third place, Aniston Todd. Fourth place, Anna Campanari. Fifth place, Cody Trotman. Sixth place, Hayden Harrison. In your program, 1, 6, 3, 5, 4, 2.
Oh, I like her nails.
Now the ring is class 42. Following this, we will have a selection of our Division 3 champion and reserve champions before heading into the selection of our overall grand champion and reserve grand champion market names. Also, we're going to announce our rate of gain class winners. If you would like to write this down, it goes to the very last page of the program. There are 15 placings that receive a premium, so I'm going to go backwards and start with 15th place is Addison Ridgely, 14th place Aniston Todd, 13th place Wyatt Carter, 12th place Courtney Spicer, 11th place Addison Ridgely, 10th place Samantha Skelly, 9th place Kylie Bingham, 8th place Brittany Morris, 7th place Eric Roth, 6th place Courtney Spicer, 5th place Eddie Johnson, 4th place Aniston Todd, 3rd place Riley Trotman, 2nd place Charlie Brendel, and our grand champion rate of gain is exhibited by Miss Aniston Todd. Congratulations. I mean, come on. Woo! Thank you.
The young lady brings out a really nice market lamp here to start the class. He's a weather who's super fresh to the touch, especially for this weight. I love the rack shape that it has. The definition of a picture big out and is given into his lower leg. He still balances up really nicely. Maybe I tuck him up in his chest just a little bit and give him a little extra length out of his neck. But he'll get him all the way, he goes with plenty of freedom and flex. Congratulations, a really good entry. The young man's you that's going to come in second. I really like her on the standstill. I think right now she looks super good. I like the extension through her hip line, how clean she is through her chest floor, and the build of her hip.
All except one.
Now, when you get her into motion, she wants to get a little bit tighter in her spine. And compared to the one in front of you, she's carrying a little bit more finish today, but still an awfully nice entry to go second. The young lady's weather is going to come here in third. You know, he needs more flank to balance up, and I'd probably change the set to his hock and hind leg just to make him look a little bit more natural. But he's the longest hind saddle one in the class. He's super lean and expressive in his rack shape, but he just needs more lower leg shape to get above anyone else today. And the young man's weather that I'm going to round out the class, but you know, he's one that's all booted up and shagged down, and I really like that about him. And he's super level in his design. When I get my hands on him, relative to the muscle content he's carrying a little extra finish. I'd like to lean him up just a touch, and maybe give him a little bit more shape down the lower portion of his leg. But congratulations on a nice leg.
Results for class 42. First place, Kylie Bingham. Second place, Charlie Brendel. Third place, Aniston Todd. Fourth place, Eric Roth. In your program, 2, 1, 4, 3. Now we're in all of our first and second place Division 3 class winners for the selection of our Division 3 champions. Just a reminder, a few of you have not signed the quality assurance paperwork to be able to sell your lamb on Friday evening. So, I need a parent to come sign for Ryan Peak and Brittany Morris. And I need 4-H'ers signatures from Charlie Brendel and Hayden Brendel. Please make sure you come see us at the table so you may sell your lamb on Friday. we'd like to announce one of our other special awards. This award is given to the highest placing first year market lamb exhibitor. And this year, the winner is Miss Jada Mantua. So, Jada, you get another thank you. Congratulations. Division 3 champion and reserve champion market lambs are both exhibited by Jada Mantua. We will now have the selection of our grand champion and reserve grand champion market lambs. So please bring the division champions into the ring, line them up, and let's put on the shoot show.
just started today, and it's my brother's last year, so I guess I'm missing the Market Lamb show and the Market Steer show tonight. I will be able to make it to the Market Hog show tomorrow night. But I didn't want to turn down the opportunity to come out here and get to work with the youth and the people here in Howard County. It's truly been a blast for me. I've had so much fun getting to evaluate the livestock here and work with everyone on the fair committee, the superintendents. It's really been a fun time, and I've really enjoyed it. You know, I wasn't really sure what to expect when I came here. I figured there'd be some good market lambs and some good goats that I'd see throughout the day. I wasn't sure how many there'd be, but there's quite a few that I've got to witness throughout the day, and this has been an awesome show top to bottom. You know, there were some in some classes that were 3-4 deep that were still really, really highly competitive market lambs that could go on and be successful at other county fairs. And that's a true testament to the kids that are in this program raising these lambs, and to the parents and aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever it be, helping them, because it truly does take a village to do something like this. You know, with the respected division winners out here, obviously there's some difference in size, some difference in maturity patterns, and that's okay. One thing I've tried to do throughout the whole day is just sort based on quality, because I found that never really messes you up. And maybe you don't agree with me 100% today, and that's okay. That's the fun thing about being a judge. I guess I have the opinion today, and it's the right opinion. But I hope you can understand why I place things the way I did. I tried to do my best to explain what I liked in each animal, what I'd change, because as I've mentioned several times throughout the day, there's not a perfect one that we've seen come through the ring today, and I hope there never is, because then this thing of showing livestock will get pretty boring pretty quick, because we're all just going to have a bunch of clones that we're dragging out that all look the same. So I really appreciate that. And you know, there's 3 really high quality division winners out here for Grand Champion. You know, there's probably 3 in my mind that stick out that are really in contention for it, for Grand and Reserve. And you know, I had a pretty special year in 2020 at the PA Farm Show. I exhibited the Supreme Champion heifer and bull the first time in history. Both bred and owned. It was super, super special to me and my family. We'll probably never have a Supreme Champion up there again, so to get to do that in 1 year was pretty unique. And the judge that day, he said something to me, and I still get emotional about it. It was such a special day for my family. And after he shook my hand and congratulated me with the Supreme Champion bull, he said something to me that I will never forget, and he said, "You had an awfully good day, young lady." And I've always hoped I'd have the chance to use that someday at a show, and today I have that opportunity. I'm going to go out and shake the hand of your champion in reserve. Congratulations, everyone.
Grand Champion and Reserve Grand Champion Market Lambs are both exhibited by Miss Jaden Mantua. Congratulations to all of our 4-H Market Lamb exhibitors. Thank you for coming and enjoying our sheep show on a Monday, not a Sunday. And we hope you will join us back here again bright and early tomorrow morning for our 4-H Market Swine Show starting at 9 a.m.